I'm completely hopeless at it. I was a really bad actor at school, and I've never been able to master the art of mimicry. But my husband, he does it really. He can do all the voices.
In a surprising move that has drawn attention from around the world, the British royal family has made an important announcement about Queen Camilla's future, and it's truly historic. Known for years as a calm and supportive presence beside King Charles, Camilla is now taking on a new and more prominent role in the monarchy. So what does this really mean for the future of the royal family? And how exactly did Camilla respond to the news? Join us as we unravel the unexpected announcement about Queen Camilla's future role. The unexpected announcement. For many years, Camilla worked tirelessly to prove that she truly belonged beside King Charles. She faced harsh criticism, public judgment, and the painful memory of Princess Diana's legacy that never seemed to fade. Step by step, she tried to rebuild her image, showing patience and dignity as she earned respect from a nation that had once doubted her. Just when it seemed she had finally found her place in the royal family, everything changed, suddenly and unexpectedly. It began on a quiet afternoon in southeast England. Prince William and Princess Catherine arrived at a local charity to meet children who had lost family members. To everyone watching, it looked like another routine royal visit. Friendly smiles, heartfelt conversations, and the usual photographs for the press. But what happened next caught the world completely off guard. As the cameras focused and journalists prepared their notes, Prince William stepped forward, not just as the heir to the throne, but as a man determined to make a difference. His voice was steady and confident as he made a surprising announcement.
How are you?
Hello.
So nice to see you.
Oh, so nice
After all
to
this
see
time.
you.
A major new royal initiative that would change how responsibilities were shared within the monarchy. It was a bold move, one that appeared to reduce Queen Camilla's role and leave her position uncertain. For months, quiet whispers had filled the palace corridors. Some claimed that Catherine's increasing popularity had become difficult for Camilla to handle. Others spoke of an unspoken power struggle behind closed doors. Still, no one thought the royal family would make such a public and dramatic change. As William's words echoed across the room, the reaction was immediate. The audience gasped, reporters froze, and around the world, millions watched as history unfolded live on television. At that moment, it was clear that the royal story had shifted. It was no longer just about upholding tradition. It was about the future, about leadership, and about whether Queen Camilla still had a place in it. Back inside Buckingham Palace, tension filled the air. The grand halls, lined with portraits of past kings and queens, seemed to hold their breath. Staff members exchanged nervous glances as whispers spread. Royal advisors gathered in small groups discussing what this could mean. Some believed Prince William had acted too quickly. Others admired his courage to modernize the monarchy. At his side, Princess Catherine stood gracefully, calm but thoughtful. Her gentle expression hid a sharp awareness of the weight of the moment. Those close to her knew she was not just standing by her husband. She was part of this transformation, guiding it with quiet strength. Queen Camilla, however, was nowhere in sight. Yet she had not disappeared from the story. Far from it. Her loyal supporters immediately began working behind the scenes.
I've been actually trying to keep quiet about reaching 3/4 of a century.
Making phone calls, arranging urgent meetings with King Charles, and preparing to defend her position. They understood this was no small matter. It was a defining moment, a turning point for the monarchy itself. As night settled over London and the palace lights glowed softly against the dark sky, a deep sense of uncertainty lingered. This was no longer just about crowns, titles, or ceremonies. It was about power, loyalty, and the unseen struggles within one of the world's most famous families. Queen Camilla had faced challenges before, and she had survived them all. And now, as the monarchy stood at a crossroads, one thing was certain. She had no intention of stepping aside quietly. So, could these problems continue to grow? Let's take a closer look and find out. Rivals in royalty. By the time the first rays of morning touched the rooftops of the palace, the news had already spread across the country. The kingdom was divided. Outside the grand gates, crowds began to gather. Some people cheered loudly for Prince William and Princess Catherine. admiring their modern and confident way of leading the royal family into a new era. But others stood in silence, shaking their heads with deep concern, fearful that centuries of royal tradition were slowly being destroyed before their eyes. Inside the palace, however, something even more intense was unfolding. In elegant rooms filled with the scent of polished wood and fresh flowers, tension hung in the air. Queen Camilla, who was usually calm, graceful, and perfectly composed, was now overwhelmed with anger and disbelief. The woman who had once handled every situation with poise was now pacing back and forth like a storm that refused to calm. It was whispered among the staff that she had not slept at all. Throughout the night she had walked the floor of her private chambers, listening again and again to Prince William's speech. Each word echoed in her mind as she searched for the smallest sign of weakness, something she could use to regain control. Around her, loyal courtiers who had supported her for years gathered nervously, trying to offer advice and calm her emotions. But Camilla's mind was already elsewhere. She could not stop thinking about Catherine and young Princess Charlotte. The moment she saw Charlotte standing confidently beside her mother, waving to the cameras, it hit her like a sharp sting. It wasn't just a sweet family moment, it was a clear sign. A new generation was stepping forward, and deep down, Camilla feared she was being pushed aside. King Charles, meanwhile, had withdrawn into an uncomfortable silence. He avoided the press and even his own family. Some believed he was simply tired, worn out by decades of public service. But others quietly suggested something far more troubling, that the king was slowly losing his grip on power. His silence made the entire monarchy feel fragile, as if one wrong move could cause everything to break. Outside, reporters were desperate for updates, while inside, Camilla made a firm promise to herself. She would not disappear quietly. She would not let her years of effort be erased. After everything she had endured, she refused to fade into the background. She would fight to keep her place, no matter what it took. As the morning sunlight spread through the palace halls, Camilla locked herself in a private room with her closest advisors. Her calm, elegant tone was gone. Her voice was sharp, cold, and filled with determination. "I will not be outshined," she declared firmly, silencing everyone in the room. After everything she had suffered, after fighting so long for her title, she wasn't about to let it slip away so easily. But even as she spoke, painful memories began to rise. Memories she had tried for years to forget. Diana. Always Diana. Even in death, her presence lingered, haunting Camilla like a shadow that refused to fade. And now, that same legacy seemed to be reborn in Catherine, with little Charlotte standing as a new symbol of the royal future. Camilla's mind raced with plans. Should she make a public appearance? Release a powerful statement to the press? Do something, anything, to remind the world that she was still there, still important, still the queen. But something was shifting. The loyalty that had once surrounded her and Charles was beginning to fade. Advisors who once stood firmly by their side were now quietly aligning with William and Catherine. They could sense the direction the wind was blowing. And then there was Charles himself. His silence hurt more than she could say. For years, she had relied on him to be her greatest supporter. But now, he seemed distant, almost absent. She was left to face everything on her own. What made it even harder was Catherine's effortless grace. While Camilla struggled to hold her ground, Catherine remained calm and composed. She didn't need to demand attention or prove herself. People were simply drawn to her. Her power didn't come from her title, but from her quiet strength, her kindness, and her ability to bring peace wherever she went. And that, perhaps, was what frightened Camilla the most. But where did Prince William fit into all of this? Let's take a closer look. William's quiet revolution. While Queen Camilla moved carefully behind closed doors, whispering with her advisors and making quiet plans no one was supposed to hear, Prince William stood tall in the open for all to see. His calm confidence surprised even those closest to him. For months, he had felt something deep inside him, a strong conviction that the royal family could no longer survive by holding on to the same old ways. Change was no longer just an option, it was urgent. If the monarchy didn't evolve, it risked becoming nothing more than a memory, something the world would slowly forget. Now, under the bright lights of cameras and the eyes of millions around the world, William finally acted. He spoke with both grace and firmness, paying heartfelt tribute to his late grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, whose decades of faithful service had defined an era. Yet, in that same speech, he gently pointed towards something new, a different kind of monarchy, one that listened, that reached out, that opened its doors to the people it served. In that moment, William wasn't just speaking as a royal. He was setting a new direction. He was drawing a line between the past and the future. His message was clear. The royal family was entering a new age, and things would never be the same again. Standing just behind him was Catherine, the Princess of Wales, calm, composed, and radiant with quiet strength. She didn't need to speak. Her steady presence said it all. Every glance, every small smile showed the world that she fully supported her husband and believed in his vision. Together, they stood as a symbol of renewal, a royal couple ready to reshape the image of the crown. By their side was young Princess Charlotte. Though still so young, she carried herself with surprising poise and confidence. There was a soft grace in her movements, something that reminded many of her late grandmother, Princess Diana. Charlotte's presence that day spoke volumes without a single word. She represented the next chapter of royal service, the future of the monarchy itself. For Prince William, this moment wasn't about gaining attention or headlines. It wasn't a rebellion, a scandal, or a shocking twist. It was quieter, but far more powerful. It was a peaceful revolution. He knew the risks. The newspapers might twist his words. Traditionalists might protest. Queen Camilla might disapprove, fearing that this change could upset the delicate balance within the palace. But William's faith in his vision never wavered. He didn't see the monarchy as an old fading relic stuck in time, but as something alive, a promise that could adapt and grow with the people it served. Catherine shared that same belief. She knew that real respect wasn't earned through ceremony or crowns, but through honesty, empathy, and connection.
It's so weird when they get bigger to think that they were that tiny.
The world didn't want fairy tales anymore. It wanted truth. It wanted leaders who cared, who listened, and who stood beside the people, not above them. William and Catherine had quietly vowed to raise their children with those same values, to teach them that royalty meant responsibility, not privilege. No matter what storms came their way, they would guide their family with kindness and courage. Then came a moment that no one had seen coming. Barely hours after the royal announcement, headlines around the world exploded with the news. Princess Charlotte steps into history. She stood beside her parents, poised and graceful, a young teenager already showing the composure of a leader. Dressed in a simple powder blue coat, with her hair neatly parted, she looked like any polite schoolgirl, but her eyes told another story. They held her mother's calm focus, her father's quiet strength, and a glimmer of her grandmother Diana's compassion. That day, Charlotte stopped being just the little princess. She became something more, a young royal being prepared for a future that demanded strength, equality, and heart. When Prince William announced that Charlotte would begin joining the family for official royal duties, it marked a turning point. For the first time in centuries, the royal family was breaking free from the idea that only men could lead the way. How did Camilla make her journey into royal life? Let's find out. Camilla's journey into the royal family. In 2005, after many years of waiting, Prince Charles finally married Camilla Parker Bowles, the woman he had loved for so long. For Charles, it was a moment of deep happiness and fulfillment, something he had wanted for most of his life. But for Camilla, stepping into the royal family was not a fairy tale beginning. Her arrival came with tension, criticism, and a wave of public disapproval that made her first years as a royal very difficult. From the moment the marriage was announced, many people were angry and disappointed. They had not yet healed from the painful story of Prince Charles's first marriage to Princess Diana, a woman who had been loved and admired all over the world. Diana's divorce from Charles had shocked the nation, and when Camilla appeared in the picture, people assumed she was the reason for the breakup, even though the full truth was never publicly explained. The public's mind was already made up. Camilla was seen as the other woman, the one who had come between Charles and Diana. Because of this, many people refused to accept her. The royal household and the public alike were cautious, even cold, toward her. When Charles and Camilla married, it was officially announced that she would not be called queen, but instead princess consort. This was a painful moment for Camilla. She had married the man she loved, but she was denied the traditional honor given to every king's wife. The title princess consort had never been used by anyone in British royal history. It was created just for her, as a compromise to avoid more controversy and to calm public anger. At that time, emotions were still raw. Princess Diana had died tragically not long after her divorce, which made the situation even more sensitive. Many people still mourned her deeply, and any sign of Camilla stepping into her place would have caused outrage. So Camilla accepted the lesser title, even though it must have hurt deeply. Still, she never gave up. Even when she felt unappreciated and disrespected, she stayed beside Charles and continued to fulfill her duties quietly. She attended public events, supported charities, visited hospitals and homes, and carried herself with calm dignity. Behind palace doors, there were reports that she sometimes thought of leaving, feeling overwhelmed by the constant criticism. But Charles stood by her, offering comfort and reminding her that they were in it together. Over time, something began to change. People started to see Camilla differently. Her patience, kindness, and quiet strength began to soften public opinion. Without fanfare, the title Princess Consort slowly disappeared from Clarence House's official website, and people began addressing her more respectfully. Then, in February 2022, everything changed. During her Platinum Jubilee, celebrating 70 years on the throne, Queen Elizabeth II made a historic and heartfelt announcement. In a written message to the nation, she expressed her sincere wish that when the time came, Camilla would be known as Queen Consort. It was a powerful act of approval from the most respected figure in the monarchy, a clear message that Camilla had earned her place. The Queen's words marked a turning point. They symbolized trust, forgiveness, and acceptance. The public, seeing this, began to truly embrace Camilla. People realized she was not trying to replace Princess Diana or seek fame. She was simply being herself and standing by the man she loved. Through it all, Camilla remained calm and graceful. She did not argue with critics or seek to change anyone's mind. She let her actions speak for her. Over time, she proved that royalty is not defined by titles or crowns, but by one's dignity, behavior, and compassion. And when Charles finally became king in 2022, the world had already grown used to seeing Camilla by his side. The once rejected woman had now been accepted as Queen Consort, respected by the public and admired for her quiet strength. Her journey, from controversy and criticism to acceptance and respect, had finally come full circle. So how did Camilla eventually go from being called Queen Consort to simply Queen Camilla? Let's take a closer look. Camilla's title shift. Camilla Parker Bowles was officially recognized as Queen Consort after the death of Queen Elizabeth II on September 8, 2022, when King Charles III took the throne. This new title finally gave Camilla her rightful place beside the king. It was meaningful because it honored her as the monarch's wife, while still following royal tradition by distinguishing her from a ruling queen. At that moment, everything seemed balanced and respectful of history. However, something subtle but very important happened in the following months. By the time of the royal coronation on May 6, 2023, all official documents, programs, and invitations had dropped the word consort. She was now simply Queen Camilla. This wasn't just a small change in wording. It marked a major turning point in how both the royal family and the public saw her. Removing consort symbolized full acceptance. It meant she was no longer just the king's wife. She was the Queen of the United Kingdom. Queen Elizabeth II had once said, "It is my sincere wish that, when that time comes, Camilla will be known as Queen Consort, as she continues her own loyal service." This message, shared in 2022, reversed earlier plans for Camilla to be called Princess Consort and officially opened the way for her to be Queen Consort. It was this statement that truly confirmed Camilla's place in the royal family and blessed her marriage to Charles. This was not something entirely new, as there had been other queen consorts before her, like Queen Mary, wife of King George V, and Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. Both were called queen during their husbands' reigns, though the difference between a queen consort and a queen regnant has always been understood within royal circles and accepted by the public over time. Still, Camilla's transition from queen consort to simply queen was a deeply emotional and meaningful one. For her, the royal family, and the public, it marked the completion of her long journey from being criticized and rejected to finally being accepted and respected. For many years, Camilla had faced harsh public judgment. After Princess Diana's death, the public found it difficult to accept her. Many still adored Diana and didn't want anyone else to take her place. Newspapers often painted Camilla in an unfair light, portraying her as someone who didn't belong in the royal story, especially because of her past with Charles while he was married to Diana. Because of this, Camilla stayed quiet for a long time. She focused on her duties, avoided drama, and did not try to win people over with emotional speeches or grand gestures. Over time, people began to notice her patience, kindness, and quiet dedication. Slowly, public opinion changed. The woman who had once been disliked became a respected and even admired figure within the royal family and beyond. When she was named Queen Consort, most people assumed she would stay in the background. But within a year, she had earned a title that matched the role she had already been living. By the coronation in May 2023, magazines and official materials all referred to her as Queen Camilla. For King Charles, this recognition meant a lot. Camilla had stood by him for decades, not just as a wife, but as a loyal companion who understood him better than anyone else. Through years of public criticism and personal struggles, she never defended herself in the media. Instead, she quietly supported Charles and carried out her royal responsibilities with dignity. Those close to the couple knew how much Charles trusted her. They worked side by side, attended events together, and shared many duties. Camilla was also involved in private discussions and often gave Charles advice. She became someone he could rely on completely, both in public and in private. Their relationship worked because they shared a deep understanding and always stood united, no matter what others said. When she was finally recognized as queen, it didn't surprise anyone who knew how much she had already done. The title simply confirmed the truth. Camilla had long been fulfilling the role of a queen. She earned her place through years of loyalty and quiet strength. The decision to drop the word consort carried powerful meaning. It was like saying, "You belong here. You've earned this." It reflected not only Camilla's personal journey, but also how the royal family has evolved. In today's world, people admire leaders who are genuine and relatable. Through her warmth, patience, and consistent work, Camilla became one of those people. The British public, who once viewed her with suspicion, now see her as a woman who proved her worth, not through words, but through years of calm dedication and loyal service. How did she earn the new Navy title? Let's find out. Camilla Vice Admiral appointment. It was just one day before Queen Camilla's birthday, in July 2025, when she once again made history, this time in one of the most respected and disciplined areas of British life, the military. On that remarkable day, she was officially appointed as Vice Admiral of the United Kingdom, a rank filled with more than 500 years of naval pride and tradition. The position of Vice Admiral goes all the way back to 1513, when King Henry VIII first created it to honor and appoint senior figures who oversaw important naval operations. Though today the title is mostly ceremonial, it still carries great respect, symbolizing leadership, loyalty, and centuries of service to the crown. For Queen Camilla, this appointment was extraordinary for two reasons. She became not only the first royal woman, but also the first woman ever to hold this historic naval title. For generations, the position had been strictly dominated by men, and few imagined that would ever change, until Camilla did the unimaginable. She didn't just make history. She opened the door for future generations of women to follow in her footsteps. To truly understand the importance of this honor, one must look at Camilla's long and devoted relationship with the British military. Over the years, she has shown deep respect and admiration for the armed forces, often attending remembrance events and supporting numerous military charities. In 2007, she became the sponsor of HMS Astute, a nuclear-powered submarine, an honor that tied her name even closer to the Royal Navy. Her warm and genuine interactions with veterans and service members have earned her admiration from many within the military community. While the role of Vice Admiral no longer involves commanding ships or planning operations, it remains a symbol of trust and recognition, one that represents loyalty, courage, and the timeless bond between the monarchy and the military. Camilla's appointment to this position highlights her growing importance not just as a queen, but as a national figure of strength, unity, and dedication. What makes this achievement even more meaningful is how it redefines the image of leadership within the royal family. For centuries, British kings and princes have been closely tied to the armed forces, serving in the Navy, Army, or Royal Air Force, and holding various honorary ranks. Now, Queen Camilla's appointment brings a new chapter to that history, breaking away from the long-held male tradition and presenting a more inclusive and modern view of service and honor. This moment also reveals much about her evolving role within the royal household. Her appointment as Vice Admiral served as a public acknowledgement of her years of consistent dedication and quiet service to the monarchy. It made clear that she is not just the wife of the king, she is a key part of the institution, someone whose contributions are both recognized and deeply valued. Beyond personal achievement, Camilla's military honor reflects the transformation happening within the monarchy itself. In today's Britain, a society that celebrates equality, diversity, and public service, the royal family is showing that it can evolve while still honoring tradition. By appointing Queen Camilla to such a historic post, the institution sends a strong message. Leadership and honor are not defined by gender or heritage, but by commitment, service, and the trust of the people. This new chapter firmly places Queen Camilla within the proud legacy of the British Armed Forces. So what do you think about the royal family's surprising announcement about Camilla's future role? Let us know your answer in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.